And good morning once again, options traders. Well, a question that I come up against a lot with traders is this whole fear of losing 100% of their option premium. And I think it leads to a lot of bad decisions because they never give their option a chance to ever make money. But like a lot of things with options trading, there are a lot of myths and misperceptions, and this is definitely one of them. So if your option expires worthless, did you lose 100%? Let's go take a deeper look. And as always, before we do, please be sure to click like and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated and helps to promote the channel. Now, this question comes up a lot, mostly with the stock replacement strategy, which remember is where you're going to buy a deep in the money option as a substitute for stock. So for instance, let's say that the stock is trading for 100 and you buy the $80 call trading for $21. Now that $21 figure there is the option premium. That is the total that you pay. But now let's say that the stock price falls to $80 at expiration. It falls all the way down to that strike. And so the question is, did you lose 100% of your money? Now, most traders will say, well, of course I did. I paid 21 for it. I can't sell it for anything. It expired worthless. I should have bought the shares because I could always hold the shares and wait for them to come back. But again, this is really a big misperception. So to see why, let's start off with a little analogy and say that we are at the holidays and you are going to spend, let's say, $1,000 on gifts. And because you don't want to take them home and possibly have them discovered by the kids, you say, let me put them on layaway. So you do this and the store says, we require 20% down or 200 bucks. And so the question is it fair to say the store charged you $200 for the layaway plan? Should you walk out of the store kicking and screaming going, man, that was super expensive. They charged me $200 for this layaway plan. Well, not at all, because here's the $1,000 that you owe. You put $200 down, that's the 20%, but you now have an $800 balance. See, that was just to reduce the balance. And so if we add these two together, you'll see that it equals the $1,000 that you owe. And so in total, if you spend $200 today and $800 when you pick up the goods, you have spent $1,000, which is exactly the amount you would have paid if you had just purchased it right then. So in this case, how much did the layaway plan cost? Well, the obvious answer is zero. There was no premium or no price over and above what you owed. But now let's change it up a bit. Let's say that the store requires 20% down, but it also charges a $10 fee, some type of an administration fee. What's the layaway plan cost now? So again, here's the $1,000 of the presents that you've purchased, and you put $200 down, which is exactly what we saw before. But now we have to add this $10 service fee, and to that we will add the $800 balance. So see, really this $200 down and the $800 balance is just to cover the total cost. But this becomes a true fee because now if you use the layaway plan, you have to pay 200 plus 10 plus 800 or $1,010 total instead of if you had just purchased everything today and walked out of the store, it would have only cost 1,000. See, now we're having a discrepancy in the costs. So now if somebody says, well, how much did the layaway plan cost? The answer is $10. It's not 200 and it's not 210. Even though when you walked out of the store that day, you would have paid $210 total. That's not the total for the layaway plan. Some of that is a down payment on the stuff that you bought. Okay, so now keeping that little analogy in mind, let's go take a look at this $80 call that we talked about. So the stock is 100 and you have a choice to buy the stock right now for 100 bucks, just like with the layaway plan. But you could also buy the $80 call for 21 bucks. Now let's say that the stock falls down to 80 bucks. If you had purchased the stock, you are down 20 bucks or 20%. But had you bought the call, you're down 100%. And this is where people say, oh my gosh, I really got my head handed to me with this option. I could have held the stock, waited for it to come back, but instead I lost $21 on this option. I'm never doing that again. Well, let's look at it a little bit closer. What really happened is you paid 21% of 100%. See, the stock trader had to pay 100% of the $100 price. You paid 21% of it. So you really lost 100% of 21%, but you still control 100 shares. So if we look at the total lost in dollars, the stock trader loses 2,000, whereas you lost 2,100. So what's the difference in those two costs right there? $100. See, that's what you lost in this option. Because again, when just like with the layaway plan, yes, if you owe $100 per share for the stock, you could either pay the $100 right now, or you could put $21 down and owe 80. So you don't also pay $100 from this option. You got your purchase price reduced by 20 bucks. That's where the $20 of intrinsic value is coming from. It had nothing to do with the option. You're just saying instead of paying $100, I'm going to pay $20 down and $80 if I choose at expiration. So that key phrase, if I choose, is why you're paying the extra dollar. And that is the price of the option. Remember, it's the price you paid to walk away. The $2,000 or the 20 points of intrinsic value had nothing to do with the option. So keep this in mind when you are trading options. Remember, the intrinsic value is simply cash. That's to make the deal fair. The intrinsic value is the same amount you would lose by buying the shares. The extrinsic value, however, is the amount lost over and above the stock. That's the way you need to look at the options. That's how much you lost. And if you're pushing those in the money options deep enough in the money, the extrinsic value is very small. And as we just talked about in a recent video, the extrinsic value is the insurance policy. So when you're setting up your trades, especially if you're using in the money options, and especially if they are deep in the money, just ask yourself, where do I want the insurance policy? In this example, if the stock is 100 and I say I can't really imagine the stock falling below 80, but if it did, I'm going to really wish I hadn't bought it, what would you be willing to pay for the right to walk away? Oh, I don't know, maybe $1. Okay, well then you're paying $100 for the option. The $20 of intrinsic value had nothing to do with the option. It's just that instead of paying $100 for the stock, you're putting $20 down and $80 at expiration if you choose. And if you're not seeing options that way, you're going to be making bad decisions. And when you're making bad decisions, don't ever expect good outcomes. And so for anyone who'd like to learn more about the art and science of options trading, please check out the Alpha Trader course, Strategy Lab, and a Candlesticks and Technical Analysis course. It's all at optionsatoz.com. Also, please join us on Options A to Z's Facebook trading group, and you can find a link in the description below.